Hello. All right. Welcome. You saw the back of my head. Okay. And let me tell people that I am on. I can't really see who is on and who's not. So if you have joined me, if you can put something in the comments, because I can't see what's there or not. Let's just take a look. Okay. I see myself now. I don't want to do that. Okay, perfect. I will tell you, everyone says that online business is, it's simple, it's easy. And they're not wrong. It's not a hard thing. It's just there's a lot of small components to this. And, as in anything, you got to keep doing it over and over again so that you can practice and you can figure it out. Everything is figure outable, so that is the good thing. But at the end of the day, it is practice, and it is like trying to all the nuances. And in every business, there is nuances, right? One of the nuances I just realized is that I do not have my mic here, which is okay because we're live and this is a workshop and this is what I'm doing. And I have committed myself to be here teaching, training, doing all of that for an hour every Saturday for the month of August. So I'm here teaching, training, doing what it is. Answering questions, really having a Q&A session about senior living, and all the things that, as a new owner that you have to consider. I tell people all the time that I am not the person to help you get licensed, and do your policies and procedures. That is considered in the industry as operations, and it is a assisted living consultant that you need, a licensing consultant. However, in the beginning, I help with messaging who you are, what is your vision for your community, who you want to serve, what is going to be best depending on your market, and the needs of that market. So I do that part of the front end. But then after that, it is the licensing person. But then I come in on the back end. So when you're licensed, how do you grow occupancy and revenue? And that is, how do you stay in business? And that is where I am. So if you haven't met me yet, my name is Tiffany Hill Allen, and I'm a marketing strategist, and I am a 12-year veteran in the senior living space. I started off in 2011 as a what they call back then a community liaison, which basically is a salesperson inside the community. And I did that, moved over into home health, working for a home health agency, and did that for about a year. And then from there, I went back to working in a community. When I said also, it's because they're inside there. There was a short stint where I was also working for an online senior living advising company. So I did a short stint with them. Um, um, so I understand that side of it as well. But then once I came back into the community, I worked inside the community, promoted obviously to a bigger community, because when you're promoted, that's how you get promoted in this industry. The bigger the community, the more money and the more opportunity for career advancement. So, if anyone is looking at this as a career move and not as a business move, there is a career path. And I'd be happy if you put it in the notes or in the comments if that's something that you're interested in learning more about that I can help you with, is understanding the career path and what that journey looks like as a professional in the industry on the corporate side. But from there, 6 weeks after being promoted and moving into my new community, and doing well, and I say 6 weeks, it was a little bit longer because I was actually over two communities at that point. Then I became a regional, and I have been a regional since 2016 and just stepped out of that role last year. So I have seen and have traveled multiple communities in multiple states, um, all different types from independent living to assisted living to memory care, from I think trying to think 26 units was my smallest, I believe, community that I had, all the way up to 180 units, and did a portfolio altogether of about, I think my biggest was maybe 1,200 units, overseeing 1,200 units in multiple, obviously, locations and multiple states. So that is who I am. That is who you're hearing from. I think it's important to know what you're hearing and who you're hearing it from, because there's a lot of chatter online about senior living and about what this industry provides to business owners in terms of financial gain in their lives. And while there is a stable financial future for people who are coming into this industry, absolutely. Um, I want to kind of dispel some of the misnomers. There was a mortgage broker, I think, online who listed owning a senior living community or senior care home as one of the six businesses to start. I think he called it most profitable. I think it was most profitable businesses to start. And that could be further from the truth. And so that's why I said there's a lot of information and, quite frankly, bad information going out in the atmosphere, and along the internet about what this industry is and what it's about. And so, by having me here, you're able to ask questions and dispel some of that. So let's get into that one. What he did is he had this industry and the ownership of a senior living home as the most profitable. And in any business, your profit totally depends on your ability to manage your expenses and, of course, price your product or services appropriately. So blanket statements like that, I'm always a little bit leery. I'm more cautious. I'm not the person who goes out and just believes anything anyone says. I want to hear facts. I want to hear background. I want to hear context. I want to hear, show me not only just a testimonial, but I need to see the numbers. I'm that person who wants to see the numbers, and explain it to me. And so a blanket statement like that is not what is the word I'm trying to look for? It's just what it is. It's a blanket statement, right? Anybody can throw any statement out there. I can say owning an amusement park is the most profitable business out there, but it's not in its context. You have to have insurance. You have to have liability insurance. You have to have employee. Like, there's things, and I think what happens is that people who spit that information out thinks that some of these things are common sense for people, but for people who have never been in business before and is looking to elevate their life by owning a business and don't have that context to understand or know what is involved, is in a way misled. And so my goal is not to mislead you, is to be fully transparent about what this industry is and what it isn't, and how to operate inside of it, how to grow your occupancy. Um, Sorry, I am checking to see if anybody joins, only because I can't see it on here unless you comment. I will be checking the comments on the replay, so please definitely do that, and do the replay. So comments is what I'm trying to say on the replay. I'm okay with that. Sometimes I can't see, so you'll see these come on and off all the time. So that's who it is. So when it comes to this particular video I'm talking about in terms of our Q&A, is senior living the most profitable or one of the six most profitable businesses to own in 2023? Let's unpack that, right? Again, we talked about expenses, but let's talk about what he compared it to. And this is where I kind of wanted to, this is where my offense happened. And I say offense very lightly. It's not like I'm offended and, I'm triggered or anything like that. But he compared senior care home ownership to a laundromat, to a vending machine business, to a storage facility business. All of these businesses are very much minimal contact businesses. You don't have to be in it every day. You typically don't even have employees that you have to manage every single day. There's not a whole lot of expenses, variable expenses, that is in play with those type of businesses. So I felt like it was a little bit disingenuous to have that as a talking point with those other businesses, because you're looking at all these, and mind you, the other businesses were the first five, because he named five, and senior care home was the last one. And that is the one that has the most risk. It also has, hold on one second, I'm sorry. Let me turn this off. It has the most risk. It has, let me turn the other one off too, just in case somebody calls. It has the most risk in out of the others, right? Because you have employees, you have vulnerable adults who are usually have multiple diagnoses that they're dealing with in disease management, things like that. So there's a risk involved there. You have employees who, depending on how they handle your residents, opens up the opportunity for you to be sued. You have families who have an idea of how their loved ones should be handled. And if they're not happy and things happen totally by accident, or just things happen naturally, you have open opportunity to be sued. You have state regulators coming into your community, at least in some states every 2 years, to do a survey, make sure that you're, number one, following all the process and procedures. If not, you can be fined. You also have it in most states where if there's a complaint, a state ombudsman will come in and then investigate you, which then has another opportunity to be fined. I just don't feel like it is a good service to tell people that this is like owning a laundromat or like this is owning a storage facility or a vending machine business. It just is not. And so is it profitable? Absolutely. Any business that you manage well, and that has opportunity for margins, can be profitable for you. With one home of six residents, are you going to make $1 million? Absolutely not. You're not going to make $1 million with only one home and six or eight or nine or even 10 residents. Not take home pay. You got to pay your staff. You have to pay for your food. You have to pay for your licensing. You have to pay for your insurance. You have to pay for maintenance. You have to pay for your marketing costs. you have to pay all your utilities, all those things. So, depending on how you manage your funds, there is a goalpost that a lot of places have as a guide. So, when you're taking your revenue minus your expenses, they call it EBITDARM. And I always mess up EBITDARM. So, in our industry, it is, I think it's most places EBITDAR, but ours is EBITDARM. Um, and I have it written down so I can go over it with you. And if I can't find it right now, I will let you know in the comments below because it's expenses. EBITDAR. And see, I should know this. Oh my God, so embarrassing. But I always have to write it down because it's a lot of different. And I think it's in my other book. Expenses. I'm trying to think. B. Interest, taxes. It's expenses before interest, taxes, depreciation. I have to write down the thing here. E, expenses before. Let me write it down. EBITDARM. DARM. So it's expenses before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, I think. Something, and I think it's management. I'm gonna find out and put it down there. So don't judge me. Listen, there's a lot to learn in this, and you will learn yourself that you're not gonna remember everything. So, but I think I did pretty good. Expenses before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. I believe that is, and I just have to can't remember the R and M. I think the M is management fees. I think that's what it is because a lot of companies that are owning or are running senior living communities are not the owners. So when you're looking at EBITDARM, the management fees, I believe, is a part of that. So I will get that for you though. So anyway, profitability. So we talked about all the different expenses and things like that. So the goalpost is or was at one time, and I would have to find out what people are doing now, was to try and get about I don't remember if it was 10, 20%. I think it was 20%. Um, and so 20 to 30%. That's the goalpost. Some communities I've been in is negative, meaning that their expenses are higher than what their revenue is, and there's reasons for that. Other communities, their EBITDARM is, when it comes out is like 9%, and I think that's not EBITDARM is like 9. It's less. It's 9%, but the net income I think is at 20. I have to remember. I'll get with you guys on that. So it's been so long. I'm pulling out cobwebs out my head right now because it's like I remember sitting there and I remember going over the financials and I remember the numbers and I'm trying to do that. I'll have to pull out some of my old financials if I have it and show it to you guys. But anyway, you have to consider that. So when you're looking at it, you need to make sure, okay, what do I want to make out of the total revenue I have? So when you're putting together your plan as a new business owner and doing this, you're looking at what is your projected income from your residents based on the occupancy that you are projecting that you will have. And then you back out your labor and your rent and all those other things, right? Your food costs and things like that. And so that's going to give you your bottom line number. So when someone says to you, especially like this mortgage guy, you're going to be profitable, yes, but it has a lot of different variables that is involved in that profitability, unlike those other examples that he utilized. A laundromat, you have some variability, but is not as many as senior living, right? In the vending machine, you have some variability. It is nowhere close to as many as you do in senior living. And so I just want to make sure that when you're looking at getting into a business like this, that you're coming in with eyes wide open. And what I'm finding from a lot of my friends and colleagues who are consultants on the licensing side is that when people open or after they've been open for a year, they're still not where they need to be profitability wise. And their job is not to help you become profitable. Their job is to help you get licensed and opened. I, on the other hand, with my team, we are designed to help you to become profitable. And to do that, you have to have your occupancy in, which means knowing how to market and knowing how to do the whole sales process. And the other part of that is understanding expenses and risk. And so all of that is who you can care for in your community. Is everyone who come to you who says my mom needs to live here, I need a place, should they be the one to move into your community? And the flat out answer is no, because there are people that you're going to have to say, does it make sense? Do I have the staff? Am I able to? What what kind of staffing? Not just staffing, but the risk to my staff. Am I risking myself in having workers' comp because this person is of such a weight or of such a advanced state in their care that I'm going to have to have and teach my staff how to lift them properly or turn them properly or things like that. And at the end of the day, the answer is, could you do it? Do you want to do it? Is it the risk worth the reward? And that is where I really want to zero in on you, or with you rather, is the risk really, really worth that reward? If you say no, put that in the comments, right? Because you have to, put no or yes in the comments. Because at the end of the day, you have to, for me personally, I, in my communities, always wanted to make sure that we were fully able to take care of our residents. And I leaned very heavily on my nursing partner to ensure that we as a community could take care of our residents. And what did that look like? Because I had to communicate that to the family. And when you're an operator owner, that's going to be you. Chances are it's going to be you having to talk to families, ensuring that your staff can take care of them. There's a lot on your shoulders. And that's why I feel like it's so disingenuous to compare having an assisted living to a vending machine business in terms of profitability. So there is a long soapbox in that one question, because that question is so, it's what I'm seeing a lot of, is it really right? Is it not? You have to determine what level of commitment you have in a business like this. And I will tell you hands down, unless you have a heart to serve and to manage people, and I say people meaning your staff, and to connect with families who are in crisis and sometimes at their most vulnerable point in their lives, because there's a lot of emotions that go with that, and with residents who also are at their most vulnerable point of their lives, for sure. And so if that is not your deal, if that is not your wheelhouse, some people is like, oh, I would never open a McDonald's. I couldn't take working with all those kids in the drive-through and managing people like that. And you know that's not your wheelhouse, so you wouldn't do it, right? So I think there needs to be an assessment. And I created an assessment to so you can take a test to say, is this the right thing for me based on my personality? So if you want that quiz, put quiz in the comments and I will send you the link, or I'll put the link in the description below. How about that? And then you can take the assessment and see if that works for you. It'll be coming for you. So that is the one thing. Let me stop for a minute and take a breath. Of course, I didn't put water down here. And let me tell folks that I'm live. So the other thing that I think people, people have questions about. Let me find the other questions. Is who do I go to, or how do I get residents in the community? So that is a very, it could be quick. You go to where the people are hanging out who's going to need your service. That is like the most surface level answer. That's so surface, right? That is a very surface level answer. But let's go deeper and let's get serious, right? So who do you go to? There is a list of people that you go to where people who need your help is at. And the thing is, I used to tell my team, there's two pools, right? You have or ponds, I would call it a pond, two ponds. You have the pond where everyone is circling. Everyone is circling. Everyone is circling this one pond. And so for the people who can feed that pond, there's a lot of confusion and they're going with whoever they see the most of or have a relationship with, or who has something that's unique to the unique situation that they're faced with. So did you get that? It's who they see the most of, who they have a relationship, or who offers something that's unique to the situation that they are in. Three things, right? And so when you're in that pond, the key is to show up, and to show up often, right? If you can't do that, show up, form a really great relationship. That means continually connecting with that person. How's their day? Making sure that they're invited to some of your things that you have in your community. Finding out who they are and what is important to them. So if they have a kid that is on the football team and their school colors is green and white, and the reason I'm thinking about this because it's what I did. And then and she was like telling me how she's a football mom and she's always at the games and cheering on her kid. I bought her those big blow up things that you can go like this in the colors of green and white, so she can be that mom who can do this. And she would remember me every time she pulled it out, that girl at the time I was at the home health company, at that home health company gave this to me. And so then when I went back, I wanted her to think of me. So that's what I was trying to say, complete my sentence. But the other part is I wanted to, when I go back, is to do a check. How is her son doing on that football team? So it gave me an in to talk to that referral coordinator, but it also gave me something for her to take home in her house to remind her of me. And so if you can't show up often, make sure when you show up is meaningful, right? If you can't show up often, make sure when you show up, it is meaningful, and that you are in the process of forging and creating and developing a relationship. Because this business, I know a lot of people say that it's digital marketing and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it's also very much a relationship business still to this day, it's a relationship business. And so when it comes to swimming in the pond where everyone is circling, your relationships matter. Okay. And then the third, so first is what? Show up often. The second is create a relationship. And the third is to have something unique that's going to solve that person's situation at that moment in time. And this is where I say, where your value proposition as a community matters, right? So this is where when you say, we offer gluten because you're small, right? If you're a small community, everybody can't do this. But if you are a small community and you say we offer vegetarian diets and gluten-free diets, let's say you're focused on the food aspect of living in a community. And so you charge more because you have specialized diets to that person's particular situation, palate, whatever have you. Meaning this, we offer the Mediterranean diet. We offer, for brain health, Mediterranean diet for brain health. We offer a vegetarian diet. So we're a vegetarian only community. We offer vegetarian, gluten free. Like you don't want to be so specific that it outs you from a lot of the people, but could you be specific enough that is going to trigger something in someone's brain who says, this would be great for my patient. This will be great for my client. This will be great for my neighbor's mother, knowing who my neighbor is. You want that type of situation that is or value proposition in your for your home that's going to create that thought, right? So if you have, let's say, um, you contract with a pastor to come in, or maybe it is a rabbi and a pastor and this or whatever have you, um, that is something, right, that you can then go to a church community or to someone who's very religious, right? um, Anything that can set you apart from other places. Most places are going to have the pastor and rabbi, but I'm saying like something like it might be female only. We had a community in one of my places. That is what they did, and it stayed full because people who was moving into a memory care community did not want their wives messing around with other people's, you know, dads, right? Or husbands. Like you have that. Sorry about that. Thank you. Ah, talking. So you have that. And so it went super, super, super well. When you have veteran only communities, that goes well. There's so many veterans out there, and they like to be connected with other veterans. So you're able to do that. When you have, let's say, I'm going to get it wrong. And I'm sorry. But I'm going to try. LGQTBT community. I think I did it. I did it. I'm so excited. I think I did it. LGBQ or QB. What? You know what I'm saying. I don't have to explain it out any more than that. There's a group of people who's getting older, who's a part of that community, and they're marginalized. And they want to be with other people who they can relate to, who have some of the same experiences in life at that age that they can connect with. And them going into when they have to a traditional community, it can be so isolating for them. It doesn't mean that you have to, I mean, it's your business, right? But if you're working in corporate or anything like, you don't have to take care of people. There's going to be people. Let me just stop. Let me back this all up. I'm just going to back this all up because people aren't going to understand. How can you, Tiffany, being as devout of a Christian as you are, someone who went to, my God, Oral Roberts University, advocate for something like this? Because they're people. They're people who deserve love and who deserve care in their most vulnerable state of older age. Despite what choices, what they've decided, how they decided to live their life, I don't care. I care about people. And how best to show what the love of Christ is than to care about people. People. He cared about people. And some of the people that you are caring for that may not be a part of this community, that you think is okay to care for, have done some of the most atrocious things in life that you may not even know. I've had it. I've had child abusers in my community, not pedophiles, but child abusers in my community that I had to care for. People who abandoned their children, and now they had to come back and provide care for their mom or dad. People whose mother told her growing up often that she should have aborted her. People who were so abusive, none of their kids would talk to them. And the one who would have a panic attack and breakdown if she ever would call in. So her husband had to be the intermediary, who then had to have a guardian to really deal with all of her finances and her care. People who were so abusive to their children that they denied, and were so abusive to their daughters, they denied their daughters when they were coming into age the protections on their monthly, and would make them go to school with rags because they refused to buy the proper protections for them. You're caring for those people and you don't have an issue with it. You don't know what people do or have done in their life. Even I've had a murderer. Murdered his own son. 40 years prior. And his daughter told me that. People who have done atrocious things, but not a part of that community, you're probably going to be caring for them. So what's the deal? Because someone decides to choose a life that maybe you wouldn't, and now you want to deny them the care. I know I'm on a soapbox. I know I'm on a rant. I know this is Q&A session, but my point is that is a big and open opportunity in senior care that a lot of people are ignoring. And a lot of these people have the means to pay for quality care. A lot of these people are willing, and they have the support of a whole community that would pay top dollar for a community that embraced them. So when you're looking at what is different, how can I be different? What can I do to stand out? These are some of the things. We talked about veterans, we talked about female, we talked about Mediterranean diet, we talked about vegetarian diet, we talked about the LGBTQ community, we talked about anything that could set you apart. What is it that's going to set you apart so that when someone is dealing with that in front of them, they know, I know the perfect place to send you, because these people, not only do they do this, but they specialize in that. And so that gives you a really huge in to that big pond where everyone is circling. Everyone is circling. The large communities, the small communities, the home health care people who can take care of them at home, everyone is circling that big old pond. But then you have a small pond. So you're a little fish over here in this big pond. So you have to do those three things. But then you have this little pond. Not a lot of people circling in this little pond at all. If any, hardly no one, anyone. Gosh, as you talk, do you notice that sometimes your like grammar and vocabulary just kind of goes down? Mine do. So the longer I talk, I might sound a little lazy in my speech. Don't mind me. But in this small pond, you can then be the big fish. So what does a small pond look like? It looks like outliers, places that people go to, but it's not a total. It's not the big pond. It's not where everything. Some people call it low hanging fruit. I don't really like that, but whatever. It's where you have the immediate. The referrals can be like this, but it can be like this. But remember, there's 30, 40 other people in that same pond vying for the same business. Where over here, if you're the only one, then you're the only one. So what does that look like? That looks like hairstylists. I've been saying this, nobody listens, but hairstylists who do older people's hair, or who has a large, clientele. I see it. I've seen it on YouTube, not YouTube, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was on YouTube. I've seen it on Facebook where someone's saying, I have a client, she's in her 80s and she's this, and I have another client who's a caregiver, and I'm looking at them doing their hair, but they're talking and I'm like, bing, because my brain goes to bing. My brain goes bing. Even my own hairstylist, she tells me stories about people bringing in their loved one, a husband who brings in his wife and goes shopping because she has dementia, and then he'll come back and get her. A daughter who's caring for her mother who brings her in. And so her and I are always talking about what I do because she sees it in her chair or hears people talking about it all the time. And yet I have yet to see a senior living company do a campaign to people who have already built trust with their clientele, who hears what their stories are and what they're dealing with at home, who's sharing what the stress is and what the stress is doing on their hair. Like, to me, I would be the biggest fish in that pond in my city. I would do, massages for a hairstylist. Come and get a feet massage and look at my community because they're talkers. And they already have the trust of many, many, many people. And so you go that route. The whole idea in marketing, not the whole idea, but the reason why, I'm sorry, my brain is skipping. The reason why network marketing is so powerful is because it leverages relationships to referrals. You hear that? Network marketing is so powerful and is a multi-billion-dollar industry for many years over. It's because it leverages relationships with referrals. I have a 19-year relationship with you. I trust you, and you're going to tell me that this product or this service over here is the bombdiggity.com. I'm going to meet the person or the person who's providing it. I'm going to meet that person, hear them out. And now this is a warm referral because this person knows you, this person knows this person over here. And I'm introducing the two strangers, but our one commonality is that person. And we both trust that person. And now I'm the person who's buying is going to go to the person who's presenting. and I'm going to listen more intently to what that person is presenting, even if this person in the middle, who we both know don't know much about the product or services because they just got in, but they're going to introduce you to the person who is their trusted guy. And now you're having that. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? I need that too. I'm not only going to buy it, but I'm going to come into business with you because you, the person I know what I need in my life. And you'd say this is a good deal and a good business opportunity. I'm going to go into business opportunity. That is the power of network marketing. You utilize grassroots power of that with other influencers in your community, meaning the hairstylists, meaning the pastors, meaning the financial advisors, meaning the insurance agents. That has kind of waned out a little bit because of the internet, and a lot of people go online to buy their insurance. They don't use their local person anymore, but some of them have been with them for years, and they all have a clientele. So it is to your best interest to leverage other people's clientele by introducing that professional to your community, your services, and what you do and how you do it and who's it for. Real estate agents, brokers, all of these people, they have, they're not, that's not where the big pond is. So people will say, well, there's a longer cycle for referrals. Yes, but it could be. If you execute well and if you do enough, it may not be that long. It depends on how your execution is. The one thing I do remember in a senior living community I had here in Florida is this person, I shouldn't say, I don't want to say it. This person struggled. I'll put it struggled with the big pond. She just didn't, the big pond wasn't feeling her for whatever reason. You know, I have my thoughts, but whatever. The big pond wasn't feeling her. But the small pond, every month, her move-ins was from the small pond. It was the elder law attorney. It was the insurance agent. It was the dementia center in her area. She floated in the small ponds. And every month she got not a whole lot because she wasn't in a big pond like she needed to be. You have to do both. Like, you need to do both. But she floated in the small pond. And because she was highly occupied, she only needed about 2 to 3 move-ins a month. It's an all memory care community. So she got her one and a half. I needed 2 and 3. But 1.5, she got her move-ins from the small pond. She was the number one in the company to get move-ins from small pond. We in the industry call that non-medical referral sources or non-medical referrers. So that is an area that if you're not swimming in, I highly suggest you do. I feel like I've only answered 2 questions because I feel like I've been on a couple of rants. As you can tell, I'm super passionate about what I do to inspire change, to impact lives, and improve outcomes of aging adults and those who serve them, which includes you. So if you can, tell me more of this in the comments and I will be happy. Like I said, I'm committed to August. We'll see how it goes and we'll see how it straightens out in terms of the response I get, whether I continue it through the end of the year. I'm thinking I will because it's going to take time for people to know about the channel and know what I'm doing. But I think this is great opportunity to have conversation. Today we didn't have a whole lot of people because quite frankly, I just started this and I did not do, and I know this because I'm a marketer, right? I did not do some of the things I know I need to do to make it happen. So next week, my goal is to, or this week during the week, is to do those things so that there will be a lot more engagement and so that you guys can come together. But I'm okay with this because guess what? It's content. I'll slice it up, make it into reels, into shorts, and do some fun things like that. But I am so happy that I am here to serve you. There will be times that I will probably do a marathon because I can talk for days all about senior living, all about how to grow occupancy, all about how to grow revenue. And it is definitely my passion. So, with that, I want to say thank you for looking at this video, for hanging out with me, and for just being who you are. And my goal and my hope for you is that you will let your light shine in the world. And if it happens to be in the world of senior care, that you will come to me to be your mentor and your guide. So, with that, I say thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful Saturday.